Yeah, and I've been muted the whole time, so sorry about that. Hopefully everything is working now. Let's see. Just gonna wait for the voice a bit to come back. Okay. Yeah, I think it's okay now. So, today, the plan is gonna be to do something to try to finish as much as I can about that journal. And I was thinking about it's quite obvious that I should have some kind of an order about the entries that happen in the journal, because if I have it randomly sorted out, it doesn't feel right. And basically what I came to a conclusion is that I'm gonna apply the sort order to every unit and to every item I have in here. So that's what I'm gonna do. A bit of a tedious job, but then I'm also gonna work on the descriptions of the beasts and maybe displaying basic stats like maximum HP and so on, so you have some kind of a basic knowledge about the enemies you're gonna be facing. So if I go back now, okay, I see the channel is live, but let me just write down a couple of checkboxes. Stream goals. Okay, now I gotta write down the checkboxes. So apply sorting order to the units, apply sorting order to the items, and then create good description for the units, slash, which means that I have to show basic info like base HP and some attack. And we got quite a lot of units for demo. I was looking at, I think I already have for the demo itself around 30 to 40 different units. So I'm giving a lot of stuff away for free, and that's okay. Okay, if I continue, I have this now. Fix the quick movement through the journal entries. I fixed one of the quick movements in the inventory itself. If you were holding a button for a long time on a keyboard, basically it started to track it a bit weirdly. It wasn't being tracked as it should be. So that is fixed, and I fixed a couple of sound effects being too loud. So I reduced their overall volume. So that's one thing. And I think that's it. Now let's see. Do I have anything visible here? Okay. So the first thing that's gonna appear in the world and the bestiary is gonna be basically things that are first met probably. So bunny, boar, alpha wolf and bear. Then I have bandits, and for bandits on I'm going on to slimes. And just to be sure which slimes do I have, I'm gonna filter them out here and take a look. So first we have slime, big slime, spiked slime, okay. Then I want to have a giant slime. This one is 240, I think so, or 230. 230. After giant slime I'm gonna have mutant slime. Now this one is 240. Mutant. And then Monster is the last one, and it's a boss. Monster slime 250. Okay. And I have a couple of flags where I can set if something appears in the bestiary or not. And let's also go through it. So Anton Camp, yeah, okay, he's gonna appear. Ledge Bandit, all good. Bosses. Okay. Bryn Zep Camp. This is the same one. Dwarf Hunter, I don't have to include. Oh my god, no, this is not okay. This is about being interrupted. I have to toggle this one a bit. So Dwarf Hunter, for now I don't have you. Evil Eye, also not. For now at least. I still have to implement these characters. Ice Stinger, yes. Giant Rat. Giant Slime. I think I didn't apply the sorting order to the Giant Slime. Oh, I did. If I go a bit further. Go to the Coldbeard Camp. Only the one from the camp can appear. Izzy World, Izzy Camp is gonna appear. Lilith's Treant, maybe yes, of course, why not? Misha, no. Mutant Slime, yes. Rock Golem Giant, I think Rock Golem Giant is a boss, isn't he? Yes, he is. Skeleton, Slime, Snap Snip. Ghouls, Trap Master not. Wolf Does, Zombie Butcher, Zombie Crusher. These are okay. So, back to the sorting orders. Now slimes have been sorted. Next thing we have are rats. So I'm gonna start rats with 300. Rat 300. If we go a bit further, one thing that I don't like about this plugin is I can't really search through the entries. That's a bit of a bummer. I can sort, but I can't search, so yeah. Giant Rat, I think this one's gonna be 310. And then we have Ratman. They're from the same, what is it called? Faction. Hey, now that I'm talking about factions, maybe I could sort them by faction. Let's add faction. It'd be easier to apply everything. Oh, but this is only saved as a resource, yes. So I can't sort based on it. Sadly. Okay. This is a bit different plugin than the spreadsheet one. It's a bit snappier and faster, that's why I'm using it. Hope they're gonna update it because it really works fast. Giant Rat. Okay, for the helpful purposes, I can use these ones here. Okay, in units, Giant Rat, we have Rat, Giant Rat. The next one's gonna be the next one's gonna be Ratman Archer. Ratman Archer. 320, right? Ratman Assassin 330. And Ratman Shaman is gonna be 340. And then we're done with rats. Let's sort them a bit. Yes. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, almost 22 entries in the demo. And besides demo, I still have to mark others. So let's see what actually do we have here. Okay, these are the camp entries. Just a second, maybe I'm gonna remove can be interrupted. Check. Yeah, let's do it. So I can easily just toggle if something appears in the bestiary or not. Okay, then we're gonna go to the undead, and I'm gonna flag undeads under the starting from 400, I believe. Yeah. So we're gonna go with zombies. Normal zombie is gonna be 400. Wait, what about wolf? I have alpha wolf and normal wolf. Maybe this one could be 35, because alpha wolf is... No, this one's gonna be 30. And then I'm gonna add alpha wolf as 35. That's why I'm always incrementing by 10 if I have situations like this that I can still put in something in between. But we can still keep a better order now. Zombie 400. Zombie Butcher 410. Then I think I'm gonna go with ghouls. Or a skeleton. No, let's go with skeletons next. Currently the skeletons are only summonable by player through the rune. 420. Oh shoot. You know what? These guys start appearing only after we defeat the golems. So golems are gonna go here with 400. 400. 410. And zombies go 500. 510. Crusher 520. Why not? And then we have ghouls. Ghoul. 530. Spiked Ghoul 540. Archlich 550, or I have still something regarding to zombies. Huh. I would have zombie dog. Zombie warrior and zombie runner. Okay. Let's go with Archlich on 550 for now. And then I can still squeeze in a couple of those zombie grunt units. Yeah. $550. Okay. And the NPCs and so on, they're gonna appear from, let's say, 1,000 something. Or or 2000 something if we grow very much. Let's say we have Gotthard first. Gotthard Kolbier camp, he appears in bestiary. He's gonna be, let's go with 5000. And then we have Izzy camp, 5010. Then we have Anton camp, 5000 and what? Anton camp. 5 and 20. And after that we have Lilith. I think it's Lilith camp, yeah. We're gonna include only the camp ones. So she's gonna appear in bestiary. 530. Lilith's Treant is a summonable, also gonna appear in the camp. 540. And then we have Bryn. Bryn is gonna start with 550. Yo, dude. Morning or good evening. How you doing? 560 for the Zap. But I think I have Zap camp somewhere, or do I? Yes. 560. And then we're still gonna have to make 2 companions. So one is gonna be Anna, the archer, and the other one's gonna be the last companion that we're gonna have. He's gonna be more of a robot. So if I order it here. Oh, great to hear that. What kind of a concert? Who was playing? What's the rundown? By rundown, you mean what I'm doing? Actually, I'm ordering now currently how the entries are gonna appear in the journal. You know that the first entry in the journal at the top is gonna be the easiest one: bunny, bear, wolf, and so on. And further you progress, the lower you're gonna scroll, the harder bosses and so on are gonna be in the journal. So this is what I'm doing, and then I still have to wire in to show the numbers, for example, how much HP, base HP has a certain unit, and on average how much damage he does in descriptions and so on. Scoochie Boochie concert, comedy rap. Sounds like something fun. That's awesome. So was there a big crowd? A big crowd, and yeah, that's probably really cool. Okay, now these are appearing in bestiary as they should, but now we still have to apply the sorting. Okay, we go here. How much stuff changed? Well, a lot. Sorting orders have been applied. Hey, that's a nice intimate concert. Usually those are the best ones. We also have an alternative scene here. It's like a club, little club, where you can't fit really more than maximum, I'd say, 150 people. And usually those parties were the best. On Tuesdays for the carnival, they had events usually that everybody would be dressed up in the mask and so on, and they would only play like music from 80s, 70s and so on, and that was my jam, total my jam. He's not popular, but I could see him blowing up down the way. I'm just a fan of a niche artist. That's cool. And especially, it's cool to support somebody when they're just starting. I also loved to watch the alternative scene grow. But you know, here in my place where I live, where I come from in Slovenia, you don't really have a lot of successful artists that could make living out of it, because it's limited. Especially if it's language limited, it's limited to 2 million people, and that's like nothing, you know. So if I continue, I'm saving this one. Then we should also apply. Yeah, far away. Actually, First Lady of USA comes from our country, but she has like the attitude that she doesn't really want to acknowledge us, you know. Like, I don't want to get into politics and so on, but yeah, that's a bit funny. I never saw her appear on any television here after she was becoming the First Lady or so on. So, if I go to items, we're gonna have items registry now. And class restriction, I can apply class restriction here. But if I go to the resources, to items, this is the ones that we need. So, is this gonna be stored? Okay, at the root, and that's okay. If I create it, and do it like that. Yep, 216 items already, oh my god. Of course, because a lot of items, basically the inventory system and everything underneath is the same as for the player. So, that's what's going on here. That's why we have so many items, because every unit has an item in its inventory. So, yeah. Rarity type. Oh. Maybe I shouldn't focus on the ordering items, I should only focus on the recipes. I wonder, should I do that? I'm gonna do that. Because ordering everything here is gonna be painful. Let's say recipes. Scan directory if we go to the resources. Unlockables. I have a recipe? No. I have somewhere something that is like unlockable, but it's a bit different. How do I call it, for crying out loud? Unit states, unit types, unlockables, unlock conditions, no. Recipe book, no. This is an old one, I have to delete that one. Meta progression, also not. Just a second. If I open this Visual Studio Code, check it out a bit. If we come here, and let's say that I'm looking for iron sword recipe. Where do you exist? You are in unlockables, but I know that I have something different, like recipes DB. This is what I have. Aha, and I store everything here. Huh. Okay. I know how we're gonna tackle this. So if I have recipes DB, and I don't store it on the disk, this is a bit iffy. At least that's what some people from Godot used to say. It's best to have everything stored on the disk and then referenced. We kind of should do that. Let Let me check just one thing. Bestiary. It's creating its own entries. And it's also saved here. So I'm not storing anything. Okay, I'm gonna nuke these 3. Don't need them anymore. And also personal log entries. Now, and be the best if I could see I have this populate bestiary DB from unlockables. So once I have already unlockables filled out, I populate everything here. That's okay. But then in the bestiary itself, do I sort anything? I don't believe I do. Let me just see one thing. If I try to delete this, I have currently 51 entries. What's gonna be the order? Unlockables. Bestiary and compare unlockables. I sort it by value ID, but I think I should first add. Yeah. I'm sorting these ones by the value ID alphabetically, and if not, I'm sorting it by ID, and that's not okay. I should have a reference to the item itself and so on. So the issue is when I'm creating arrays themselves, when I'm populating them. Do I have populate bestiary unlockables? So I read everything recursively. Yes, I'm doing that, that's okay. But I'm starting to add unlockable when I save it. Then I go to import, so I'm saving it. And in import, I start already sorting this mumbo jumbo stuff, right? I create everything from scratch. I just load it. And I start adding, so sort unlockables, yeah. Now when I start sorting the unlockable itself, the problem is that I don't have a sorting order. I'm saving the sorting order on the item data and on unit data, but the unlockable can be item or unit. Unlockable, let me see just one thing. I could add, for example, sorting order, make it default on 0. And when I start to create this, how many references in the unlockables resource. Where do I create? This is the populate. Here I could go then with this. And sorting order. And I believe that somewhere here I have to have the unit data. Unit sorting order. And then we can add this to sorting order. Cold sorting order. That's for the bestiary. Then we still have to do stuff for the recipe. Come on, little man. Where do I have recipe? Somewhere here. Populate bestiary. What about recipes? Recipe. Huh. Am I creating recipes anywhere at all? Not in a way I'm creating bestiaries. Huh. That's the reason, because I have in the recipe DB resource, because this is usually where I specify the entry and the ingredients it needs. Yeah, so a bit of a problem is that I want to define recipes, but then I also have to have the unlockable for the recipe. And I don't want to create first unlockable and wire everything on the unlockable for the recipe in this object. So I want to have a recipe database. And in that database, I specify the items that are needed as ingredients for a product. And once I have that specified, I believe I'm doing there that I import stuff to the unlockables. It's a bit of a mumbo jumbo, so sorry about that. And I see that this is gonna bother me. I have autofill from product item ID button, okay. That's okay. For quick generations of the IDs. But then we go a bit lower. Yeah, dude. So sorry about that. I have trouble understanding it, and I wrote it, so no worries at all. The funniest part is usually when you go back to your old legacy code that you didn't touch for half a year, and you're thinking to yourself, "Oh my God, who wrote this monstrosity, and what did he think?" You know. Okay, but for now, if we try to build it. Thank you. Thank you for being supportive. Well, it's building it, and of course it crashed because Godot and C# they have love-hate relationship, especially if you're writing tooling stuff in C#. And one thing that I'm happy about is that they've released 4.6.1, and now it's already 4.6.2, but still the demo is with 4.6, so I'm keeping the demo on this version. And after I wrap the demo, I start upgrading the Godot. And I hope that some of the bugs and the crash issues are gonna be fixed. Keep on practicing, dude. That's the best way. Best way you can do is just to write stuff. And yeah, definitely, it's also good to watch things, like for example, that you see somebody else's code base and how he's tackling the problem. But the most things that you learn fastest is when you decide that you want to solve a problem and then you start tackling it. So I'm here and we were in the unlockables. Recipes are here. I don't have anywhere to populate the recipes. Oh, I have a tool. I have some kind of a tool written out. That's the unit tool I have for setting unit translation keys and logging all translation keys. That's useful. Aha. I'm just gonna say it like this. It takes freaking time. It takes time. Everything takes time. And it's like that most of the time. Then you finally start to think, okay, now I understand a lot of things, and then you learn about new concepts, new stuff, and then you feel small again. Oh, it's a spin. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, it's just problem solving, always. But you have to read about a lot of stuff, that's the thing, you know. Because how should... so, sorry about that. How should I say? The more you learn, the more things you know how to apply to solve your problem. But the more you learn, you still see that even more things exist. So it can be overwhelming, but it's still the best way it is that you go tackle small problem after small problem. And that's the basic thing in the programming, I believe. If you have a big problem, you just have to separate it and split it into small chunks. That's the most important part, I believe. And when you have small chunks written down, like in a to-do and so on, and that's when you can start tackling, I believe. And it doesn't feel so much threatening anymore, you know. One big problem that you want to solve. That's one thing. At least I try to take a look at it, because if I think of a big problem and I'm thinking always about the big problem, it gets overwhelming. You start to procrastinate. At least that's, in my case, what I start to do. So yeah, always baby steps and focus on that, and try to ignore the big one in amount that you have to ignore it, you know. So now one of the problems I have is I don't know how I populated the recipes. I'm just importing everything. I'm importing this from the disk because I have it saved on the disk itself, so it's coming up here. But the sorting order here isn't being applied. Yo, hopefully it will help you, but for real, man, it's about that. Breaking things into smaller problems. So we have files. We get it from this part, unlockables root. Read everything, no matter what it is. We just, based on that, start to sort it into different arrays and dictionaries. So that's one thing. But after that, we can sort unlockables. So the sort unlockables currently applies only this key, get sort key. But first thing I could do is say that sorting order isn't -1. That's the one that we're gonna ignore. Then we're gonna return this one. And hopefully, yeah, no, this is sorting now by string. Yeah, second. Hopefully. I'm gonna check this. Get sort key B. And here I'm only comparing the strings. Add comparison by sorting order by integer sorting order. And then other thing that still exists is that language models and so on, it can improve the speed of coding like really fast. A lot of boilerplate that you have to write out and that where you would waste a lot of time, you know, it just speeds it up enormously. And I know it's controversial in the art and everywhere. People complain about it. I myself, I believe my position is going to be heavily impacted by the... It is heavily impacted by the big language models. So... that's one thing. But still, it's good to utilize them in a way. When you have a complex problem, or if you, for example, have a bug, a lot of times it saves you so much time. It sees the typo, it sees something that you used wrongly. Oh my god. Yeah. Scary times, if I say it. Yeah. Do it. Avoid it. Definitely. You should understand the basics, and everything that the AI spits out at you, you know, try to understand it definitely. It feels really like that you shouldn't include the logic that you fully don't understand. That's it. But if you need for something like for generating, once you understand things and so on, and if you need somebody for recommendations or ping-ponging ideas, it's really, really helpful. That's one thing. I mean, the whole thing is, I don't know, in computers, I believe like that. You know, people used to program it at much lower levels. Then came the higher languages like we see now, where you don't have to manage so much memory by yourself. Then people got tools like IntelliSense, you know, that you had like autocomplete and so on. That was already a big cheating, you know. And now you got language models, which is like, you know, plowing a field with a horse versus plowing it with a full tractor. Yeah. But everything is fun to understand. It's cool and fun to understand it, but the thing is that I believe that in professional world, nobody is freaking gonna look at your code in a way. If it works, it works. If it works correctly and so on, and they don't, excuse my language, they don't fucking care if you wrote it with help of a generative software or if you manually typed it out. It just has to deliver the result, and by that I mean it shouldn't be buggy and it should be efficient. And at the end they're gonna look at the time that you have to use to produce that. That's the sad reality, you know. And then you start getting things like, okay, programming for hobby, that you try to craft everything like an artist. You start to take a look at the code like an art craft, which I do in some way. And others look at it like on a tool. You know, you have carpenters that do everything by hand, and then you have machines. That's how it is in different industries. So yeah, tough times. Still looking for a hobby where I'm gonna involve my hands a bit more. I mean, I mean, you know, the biggest art form for me is like game development, because it involves everything. It involves the logic, the visual presentation, and music. And besides that, you also have an opportunity to give somebody to experience that. And I don't believe that any art form delivers that in a way. You know, you can watch a painting, but you can't really feel it. You can't go into the painting itself. You can't interact with the world and so on. Yeah, I made projects that I haven't published. Like publish, you mean releasing it to the audience, like they would play? I made a couple of. I mean, the last one that I prototyped with an idea and I used the same assets like I'm using now was Brotherhood of the Fox. I wanted to work on that for a bit. I had an idea that it would be like a mini strategy where you would manage your crew. It was this. Let me see it, if you can see it. You would manage your crew and have a hero champion, for example, like, you know, in Warcraft 3, where you had a hero and you could give him some special things. This is what I worked on for a prototype version. Then I had other thing that I tried to work on, also a bit of a strategy game. All sorts of stuff. There are many projects that I didn't finish, sadly. Yeah, well, that's just development. You can't do anything about it. Sometimes this was one of my first attempts. When I started developing, I really got impressed by Kingdoms. I think the Kingdom or something like that was the name of the game. It was a side-scrolling game, side managing thingy. And I tried to do this in the demo, for example. And yeah, this is basically where I drew stuff by myself. See, already here I had Max Pop, named Max. This is the name I gave to my child, and also now you. And this is like 8 years ago. He wasn't born then. But in every project I have Max name in it, and now the default name of a character you play is also called Max. So that's funny. See, this is the prototype I was working on a bit, like dystopian future city where everything was destroyed. And basically you would command the robots, you'd give them orders like you have peasants there. Then here came visual update a bit. See, the robots are here. You could give them orders by assigning coins, putting stuff down and so on. But I never really got to finish it. And that's like 8 years ago. My god, time flies so fast. No, TLDR, if I pronounce it correctly, I'm planning on using this robot. It was heavily inspired by Probotector robots or Chappie. And I'm gonna bring it into this game as a final companion, I believe. It's gonna be tied into the lore. Which also ties into my previous game, Reynard. And yeah. So, spoiler alert, final companion is gonna be this. I'm gonna read through it a bit, couple of times and so on. So yeah, regarding that, yeah. You gotta do it. I mean, I always loved things that are connected, not necessarily like, right in your face, but I'm very big fan of the Alien universe from Ridley Scott. And I kind of loved it how he connected Blade Runner universe with Alien. Like in the first movie, you had Message from Tyrell. That's the corporation from the Blade Runner that appears on mail and so on. And just, yeah, tiny bits. Putting them together, and then if somebody's really a fan of your game, he can see it. Or if he isn't, it doesn't really matter, If you know, if you don't, you don't. But still, it's nice to put those little eggs in there. So, compare unlockables. Of course, I don't have this here. I'm gonna remove this one. Then we have compare unlockables. Unlockable resource. We're gonna use this one. Now this is for comparing the integer based on the sorting order. Okay, if it's equal, it doesn't return anything. And if we're gonna populate it now, when we're sorting here, it should try to use the sorting order. And by default we set it to 0. I set it only in this case here. No. I set it not here, but compared to B. If we go back, I swear I was setting it somewhere. Here, of course. This is it. So once we populate the bestiary, this one's gonna be sorted okay. But I said that the problem I have is that I don't set it anywhere for the recipe. And now that we use these registries, I can make unlockables registry and apply the sorting order directly there. Unlockables, and we can scan it here. Resources, here you are. Unlockables, select current folder, and we create it. Well, do I have it? Here it is. And what I can do here is now simply filter by the unlockable type. And the one that I need is the recipe. So we have like not too much, not too little recipes. Let me hide a couple of columns. If I hide UID always stays present. I guess it does. Freeze ID columns. Okay, that's interesting. But I don't have to look at the name and the description. You go away. Unlockable type is needed. Icon is also not needed. Conditions not. Metadata also not needed. So, Yeah, glad that you agree, that we share the same point of view about that. So now here we have recipe and the sorting order. It would be good if I would have the simpler recipes at the top. Now, one thing that I have to do is I have to mess with it a bit. And the most basic thing that you can do is probably a club. So I could give the order 10. Then I could add, hey, why does it unsorted? And then we have spiked club. It could be 20. Where is it? Nailed club. Always change the... I always forget if it's spiked or nailed. That's what I'm trying to say. Then what we can have is maybe the weapons should be lower. I should start weapons. Let's say 1,000. Yeah, let's start with 1,000. The weapons and other craftables like utility and stuff for HP at the top. So 1,000, 1,010. That's 10,010. A bit lower. And then we have cooked steak. That's gonna be 10. Why does it always resort itself? Why do that? Huh. Then I could add wooden bow. It's gonna be 1020. Oh my god, what an annoying thing. Stone maze. 1030. Ha. Yo. What do you think? Would it be better to have this custom sorting order in here? Or should I simply go with alphabetically ordered recipe? You know what I mean? For example, that everything that starts with A is at the top, and then as soon as we go to the Z, it would be, that would be on the last place. Huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Then it's all over the place, right? Crafting elven rope recipe. We can use this one and go with it at 500. Maybe the wooden bow is at 1020, then elven bow could be 10. Huh. You know, then I still believe it would be good to split it into like melee weapons that are at one place and then ranged weapons that are at one place. So I could reserve, for example, 1000 for melee weapons and 2000 for ranged weapons and 3000 for magic weapons or something like that. That'd be even better and have more sense. And I could organize then like the weakest ranged weapon in the beginning, so that's basic wooden bow. Yeah, let's go that way. And then, but why doesn't it sort it correctly? I'm so annoyed by it. Every time that I change something, it resorts it. Yeah, right. Okay. Freaking. I don't see it. It's registry setting. It's about scanning only. And if I have columns, I can't really sort it anywhere else. I mean, if I press it, it sorts it, but as soon as I change the sorting order, this starts to apply. And that's really annoying. Yeah. Maybe I'm gonna reinstall that old one. I know that there's a spreadsheet for old ones. Basically, spreadsheet or something like that. Or sheet. Resource. See, this is the new one, Yard. Yet another resource database. This one. Maybe they fixed something. It's a bit clunkier, but you have like more functions. Well, we're gonna see. Let's download it for now. Conflicts. Do I already have it? Wait. Maybe I already have it. But I didn't enable it. This one. Edit resources table. And this version is 2.7. And which one are they having here? 2.17. Oh my god. Well, I guess we have to give it a bit of love. Update it. Resource spreadsheet view. This is the one, I believe. Or yeah, this is the one. Okay. Removing it now. It shouldn't have any conflicts. Yeah. Okay, it was installed successfully. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna disable this Yard for now. Well, it's still 2.7. What? I guess it wasn't that outdated, or they forgot to increment this version number. Anyway, if we go now to the resource tables, I can try to open. I think we were looking at unlockables, so if we go to resources, unlockables. Woo! Golly. Now, where are the settings? I really want to remove a lot of... Okay. Unlock condition icon. Name, description. Path can be disabled as well. Unlockable type. And value ID. Okay. Why is it so messed up? Look at this. Oh my god. What is this? Refresh? Aha, okay. Now bestiary. Does it have anything sorted now? No, I was looking at the other thingy. Recipe, of course, this one has sorting stuff. And I'd like to display a bit more. Can I? Aha, of course. 1000 rows, 300, that's okay. Okay. And we say the normal stuff starts from 0, but we're gonna start from 10. So let's cook steak. Then we're gonna have like maybe, okay, these are HP thingies, and from 500 we're gonna have like crafting material, like elven rope. Is it somewhere here? 500 elven rope, that's okay. And then we're gonna go to 1000, and 1000 is gonna be club. That's good. And wooden bow is gonna be 2000. Can't I edit it? What? Do you guys see this? If I click on it, it says 0, while it should be 1000. Weird. And it doesn't refresh by itself. Huh. Okay. Elven bow. This is like really weird. Feels very buggy working with it. Huh. No, it really doesn't want to work. So if somebody asks you why developing game takes such a long time, there's a lot of different factors. And one of... Look at this. Either I don't know how to use it, or what the hell. If I click edit, this is monstrosity. Can I change the order? Maybe the order is something messed up. Okay. Let's see if this was kind of affecting something, because when I pressed edit, it tried to write the resource name. Now look at it. Now it freaking works. Can you believe it? This is when you're a developer and you know that something has to make... something has to be a bit iffy with the first row if you hide something, you know. So I've enabled the resource name and now the sorting order works. What the hell? No, wasn't that very obvious? Because if I had resource name hidden and I tried to edit the sorting order, it didn't work. Like, what the hell? So, nailed club. Yeah, I know. Everybody knows that. First we have club recipe, then we have nailed club recipe, then we're gonna go with stone mace, right? Where are you, stone mace? 130, that's okay. After stone mace, it would be cool if we would have like elven mace. 140? Why does it still keep the 0 in front? Okay. 140. After that, I believe it would be cool to have like an iron sword. Or, let's see. Yeah. Iron sword. Iron sword, yes. Let's go 150. Do I still have any melee weapons? Not really. But then we go to 1000. 1000. Why is club recipe? No, 2000, yeah. I missed this one completely out. Longbow is gonna be 210. 2010. Poison bow is gonna be 2020. Elven bow is gonna be 2030. Okay. Honey glazed steak is gonna be 20. Gooselinger is gonna be 2000 because it's a bit more magical weapon, I'd say. Should it be more magical? Basically, it's made from slime, some fairy dust, and so on. And it shoots goo that bounces around. Maybe I should make it that it deals also magical weapon. I mean magic damage. I believe it's gonna just take the order that it is in the array itself, because everything is first stored in the array. So if it's gonna appear first in the array, it's not gonna change its position from the other item. That's what's gonna happen. But still, I have to test it out to give you a 100% accurate answer, which I can't give you, sadly. What's going on here? Then we have like explodables, like mines and so on, traps. And for traps, I'm gonna put them. Yeah, we can make that happen. Just a second, I'm gonna be right back because I think I have to open the door. Second. Or a minute. I'm gonna take a short break to go leak. Be right back. back. Okay, let me just hide the pause. Yes, about slowing the enemies, we're gonna do that. Definitely, it has to feel more magical. So we have honey glazed steak now. It's 20. Ha. It was a blast. My honey bunny came home as well. She's a bit working later. So yeah. Nail recipe. So it would be good if I would have normal consumables at the top, and the lower I go, more complicated things. If I have 500 here, which one should I reserve for this one? 500 would seem good. Let's add 500, and we're gonna move the crafting like these bare recipes for like crafting elven rope recipe to something different. Okay, from 0 to 500 is gonna be reserved for consumables and so on, like apples, apple pies, or what else you're gonna be able to make. And then the further you're gonna go, the deadlier it's gonna get. And this is gonna go to 500, 510. Crafting elven rope is gonna go to, let's say, 400 or 250. And then the runes we're gonna reserve for 3000. Or should I have armor pieces and that there? Maybe we can use 3000 for now. Okay, and I believe this is good enough. Ah, of course, Gooselinger on 3000. You're right, then we have to use 4000. Thanks for reminding me, dude. If we sort it now, we can see, so cooked steak is the first one, then we have honey glaze recipe, crafting elven rope, then we start at 500 with mines, 1000 onwards are melee weapons, 2000 onwards are ranged weapons, Gooselinger is already 3000, and that's the magic weapon, and 4000 starts with the rune recipes, if we're gonna have a lot of them, we're gonna see. And then 5000, 6000, 7000, it's gonna be more of a equipment like helmets, armors, and so on. Now we go to Gooselinger. Take a look at it. I could change it. At least what I can do is I can change its damage type, not to blunt, but to magic. This one can be here. And we were talking about slowing down, huh? So I could basically reuse something from the Ice Bolt rune. Let's steal the item effect. And this is applying max movement speed. It's gonna have much lower slow than ice element, but still. Just to give you more reward for having a Gooselinger. Okay, I don't have to make it unique, this one. Okay, let's move it a bit up. And he's gonna be slowing you. Yeah, he's gonna be slowing you. Coefficient minus 0.5. Huh. Minus 25%. A bit, because it bounces between the enemies a lot of times, and that's already like a lot. Let me just see if everything is correct here. If something with ice broke. Yeah, now we have a lot of stuff polluted here because of the plugins we've installed, so I'm gonna make a short commit. If I take a look at ice, did I change something with ice? No, I didn't. That's okay. I'm gonna write out a short commit. Let me just see what I have here. Oh, first I'm gonna test it out, of course. If I go to unlockables. And we have to build it. Let's see how it crashes. It didn't crash. Okay. If I click import unlockables. Yep, the order is correct now. We have cooked steak recipe, honey glazed steak recipe, and it goes in order like we specified. So that's working, but bestiary. I swear to God, I'm not sorting the bestiary correctly, huh? Because if I click populate bestiary unlockables, it's gonna take into account the ID of the sorting order. Oh no. That epic crash. Always. Always. Okay. No worries. No worries, no worries. No, the bestiary is completely wrecked now. But the recipes are okay. Second. Yep. And why isn't the sorting order applied anymore? Because if I click populate unlockables, this is applying sorting order here. And then I click unlockables and it starts to sort it. How? Just a second. Okay, I'm gonna flush you. It's like sorting order isn't safe, but I'm doing it here. I take the unit sorting order And I believe that all the sorting orders have been applied. Like, if we take a look at the zombie, I was doing that. Don't tell me it didn't save. It has. Sort order. Yes, 500. Butcher 510. So this should be in the unlockable itself. And I create the unlock conditions and everything. Oh my golly. It's being added. Why is this being executed here? I ensure directory exists. I get all the files, load it, put it up there. Get the unit paths, load everything from the file. Check if it appears in bestiary, that's okay. Then I start to apply the unlockable that's going to be created. And then I have create bestiary unlock condition. That's where I check how many units you have to kill. And yesterday I applied it, an example that in order for the bestiary that it unlocks, you have to kill, for example, 5 units for a trash, 4 for a weak one, standard 3 ones, and mini boss and boss only 1. So you don't get unlock for every single unit that you kill all after every first time. Kind of makes sense, right? So I add these unlock condition. Then I have a save path and I start saving. Yeah, then I go. What is this? Then I'm saving back the unlockable resource itself to the path where we are. That's okay. With this import, if I already add everything, I save it on the file because the import then is gonna read it up again. Yeah. Could be optimized, but it's a tool. I'm not gonna be using it a lot of times, so I'm not worried about that. And I start loading, and when I get the bestiary type, I start adding stuff to this array itself. This is still unsorted, but I call the sort unlockables function then. It's this one. And the bestiary compare unlockables would have to use this sorting order, right? Yeah. And this sorting order is applied correctly in the recipes themselves, but why the hell isn't it correctly applied in the bestiary case? Because bestiary is already populated normally before I call this. Huh. Why no work? Okay, anyway, I'm still gonna commit the things that I have now. A lot of progress. and sorting recipes, items, units, bestiary, still ain't sorted well though. Okay, because I'm gonna start messing with everything, and I'm gonna look at the changes that we have in the file system when I click anything. So, okay, if I click on import unlockables, nothing specifically changes. If I click populate bestiary unlockables, this is creating new stuff. It should be creating new stuff, but actually it doesn't. Let me see just one thing. I always start to write like beast, not best. One weird thing. Huh. Well, the sorting stuff is here, but how do I have 44 entries? And everything is in file system here, but it's not showing up. What the hell? Where is it? For example, if I go to Snap, showing file system, under the unlockables, Snap, I don't see him. Something's bugged here, because this is a reference to a resource that is stored in the resources, not the local resource. Now this is bothering me, because if I start to write, for example, boar, it's not even showing up like boar bestiary. And if I click show, it kind of unravels the thing, but it doesn't highlight anything correctly. Something weird is going on here. There's 3 pages. Yeah, there are 3 pages, but what I'm worried about is, for example, if I just write bestiary, like this one in the unlockable, this is an unlockable, right? Yeah, unlockable resource. I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I have Alpha Wolf, it's at the first place, right? Somewhere here, okay. click show in file system, it's gonna be shown. But everything else doesn't exist. What's common between them? Nothing, they start alphabetically, I believe. I mean, they shouldn't disappear from the file system, if it makes sense. Let's try to look at them if they really exist or not in the editor. Just a second. So if we take a look at the skeleton, he exists. It's in here. There are many more entries in here related to bestiary. Like, a lot. Huh, what if I restart the editor? What is this? No. Just a second, let's see if I reload the current project. Not gonna save anything. Yeah, now it appears. I guess it was a good old glitch. Yeah. Okay, so they are being generated. Yeah, good old file system glitch, something. I mean, the browser glitch. But this isn't being sorted. And if I take a look at the zombie, example, yeah, zombie is 510, 520. I get it. Nothing is actually wrong. The only thing that's wrong is that I have 0 as a default. Yeah, and then it starts normally where it should. So basically I don't have a good order for a sponge slime, and this thing is gonna be excluded from the bestiary. And I believe what I can do is go to the resource table, and here, this is regarding the unlockables. I should go with, come on. You know what? There aren't that many. But still. Resources. We go to units. Open the units. Now this is gonna load. Of course, millions of different columns. If we go and try to clean them up a bit. No, not this one. For Crying out loud, now I'm used to that one. Ah, this one is it. Let's start closing it. Oh my god, how many properties. And the thing that I need is something snappy. Yeah, lots of stuff, huh? Just to make it a bit faster, I'm gonna try to exclude as many as I can. That's a few properties, isn't it? But yeah, they're all related to the things themselves, so it made sense to save it on the unit itself, you know. When you lock it up, you get all the stuff that's needed for the unit. Like its crit, health, everything. And it's not working that bad. But with a tool like this, it would be good to have multi-select option. Like you would hold shift and something and more properties could be unchecked. That'd be really good. Appears okay. This one here. Description and name can be also omitted. Let's see, we're gonna have to refresh. No, I believe not. Sadly not. No, it just goes to the first A. If I press Control and A, it goes to the A letter first. So, oh, it has on and off. Why the hell? Why is there no checkbox? Alrighty. So if I sort it by the order, I know that those sorting orders were 0 before. That's just how it is. I mean, it's a free tool. Can't really complain. I have to give them I have to give them credits. Very good thing. So Sponge Slime can be off. How can I make it off? Why doesn't it have a simple checkmark button, you know, like the other one has? Aha, backspace only. Snip and snap also off for now. Or maybe they have to be a bit higher. And again, I'm surely only showing 50 entries. Let's go with 100. Of course, that's the reason. Open source is epic. Can't bash them. Okay, we have snip and snap. And those are the NPCs that we can find somewhere else. And from 5,000 I start to put in the NPCs that are inside the camp. So with snip and snap they are more or less not in the camp, but outside of a camp. Let's say they're gonna start 10,000 NPCs interactable in the overworld. So Snippy 10,000, snap 10,000 and 10. And skeleton, he didn't appear in here yet, so he goes to the undead. 5. So he could be somewhere between zombie and a ghoul, yeah. Let's go with 525. Maybe we're gonna have a bit more skeletons. That's gonna give us place for 5 more. Misha doesn't appear. Ice Stinger appears, but I don't actually have a good place for him. He belongs to what? To which faction? That's a separate faction, I believe. Let's go with 600. No, 600 is gonna be for demons. You know, number 6. Then the Ice Stinger and those Ocular thingies. Yeah, maybe he's a bit of more or less like an animal, yeah. Just unlucky that he looks more sinister. So we're gonna go with number 50, yeah. Ice Stinger is gonna be 50. Exactly, everybody knows. Demon Destroyer, you deserve number 6. Boss Golem is... where do I have golems? Golem. Mr. Golem. Mr. Golem. Well, the early access, to be honest, I believe there's gonna be like 4 to 5 bosses. But for the full access, I'd like to hit around 8. That'd be good. You know. Plus then difficulties. I'd like to somehow make it a bit more replayable. Like you have hard. Then if you play on the hard mode, you know, the running burns energy, stuff like that, and the whole experience feels a bit different. So yeah. We'll see. Rogue Golem, he's here. He's at 400. Ah, Boss Golem. This one shouldn't exist. Exactly, 3 biomes for now. Definitely 3. And then I'm gonna try to polish the 3 ones. And, you know, if I'll be able to sustain everything, then I'm gonna add more biomes. Like branching. For example, you wouldn't have to go to the cavernous caves when you finish the first biome, but maybe there could be not pink Didra, but for example, a yellow one or a brown one, which could take you to some other biome. And based on that biome that you visit, you would have different crafting resources, if it makes sense. Well, every biome in the end would lead you up to the frozen peaks, but different enemies would appear. But still, first, what I'm trying to do is have a polished experience from start to finish, linear path, and only then work on that if it's sustainable, if it makes sense. How can I believe that I marked everyone correctly? Hope that I will deliver something very good, you know. Exactly. Let me just nuke all the bestiaries. Now. What happens if I populate it again? I believe it's not gonna work correctly because it's still gonna leave the old ones in, right? I also like this peak always, you know. Because one thing that I kind of like is that Reynard is a bit more, how should I say, a bit more childish. You know, you're a fox that you run around and so on, and you have like rats, not so many sinister things. But this Lens of Fury, what kind of a connection I'm trying to make here is happening before Reynard. You know, with Reynard you start on an island where there's a fox den and it leads to a dungeon, which is always procedurally generated, always a bit different. But I also mention in Reynard that there's a mainland. And what I'm building now here is a bigger mainland that is happening around Mitra mountain. Mitra is almost like a sacred mountain where there's a lot of Daedra dragons, and they're responsible for making these fury runes. And the empires that surround this mountain, they have expeditions that they want to gather these powerful runes, you know, for warfare and stuff like that. And by accident, don't want to spoil too much, you get placed here. And you just gotta go to the peak. And soon as, as you go to the peak, you slowly uncover what's going on. But, you know, I'm a one-man band, can't really make 1,000 cutscenes. I mean, at least I'm not so fast. That's one thing. Is it gonna crash again? So that's why I'm trying to deliver the story, a bit through cutscenes. Only the important cutscenes, maybe like an intro cutscene, a little bit of a walkthrough tutorial, which is still kind of difficult for people to complete, I believe. I don't have a good tutorial, that's what bothers me, because almost everything is said in the tutorial, but people still don't get the mechanics, so I'm gonna have to streamline it a bit better, focus on it, so on, because I believe it's pretty important. One thing that I was thinking about is to keep the people playing. Maybe I shouldn't present them with the tutorial option in the beginning, but maybe you should just go and die a couple of times and then go back to Gutter and ask him, dude, how do I play this game? I've been beaten up by the bandits a couple of times in the beginning, so, you know, I want to learn. What are the runes? How can I do that? Why am I dying? You know, because the problem today is that people aren't used on text reading. Funny, right? I grew up with Super Nintendo and everything like that, and you couldn't just basically download a video game whenever you farted. Sorry for my bad examples, but you got a cartridge for a birthday, somebody lent it to you, then you had to live with it. You sucked with the game, you had to overcome the difficulties. You were thinking about it. Why the F am I dying so much? You went out on the playground. You were swinging and looking in the distance, thinking about when I come home, I'm gonna beat the crap out of that. That was, yeah. Exactly. But back in the day, try to remember that. The whole video games had the manuals with them. When you bought a cartridge, SNES cartridge, you had a fine printed manual that you scrolled through. You had screens on it. Different things that you can do. It was a completely separate thing. That, if you weren't lucky enough, if somebody lent you a cartridge, down codes in your own, exactly. That was a good experience. So then, you know, in one way people cherish games like Dark Souls and so on, that they don't hold your hands a lot of times and that they're pretty punishing. And then on the other hand, you know, exactly. And when you had to read the text walkthrough, my God, those were the days. Those were awesome days. So yeah, this didn't work correctly. Demon Destroyer is still here, so we're gonna nuke them. Just a second. If I go here and start nuking this, that's like 42 thingies that has to be erased. First what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna clear everything up here. At least these things. And now I'm gonna start nuking. And this is again one of those parts that can be pretty bad. If I'm not gonna repeat it in the same order when I'm gonna be updating something, adding stuff, this is where the bugs can appear. So later I'm gonna document the process so I don't F up in the future. Now let's see. Populate. It should be less than 42 because we were populating many more units that now shouldn't appear in the bestiary. Alrighty, that's 42, but the order is different. Bunny should be first. And bandit slimes, that's all I like what I see. What's happening at the end? Ratman, okay, rock golem giant. Zombies, skeletons, ghouls, demon. Okay, these are the NPCs. Gotter Coldbeard in the camp. Anton, Lilith, Bryn, his companion Snip, and Snap. Okay, then it's still good. Well, to be honest, I'm pretty stressed out because there's so many things that I still have to do. Thanks for the question, but yeah, very freaking stressed out. Because the biggest pain is also handling the marketing, you know. After that, I'm gonna have to shut the stream, go play the game, try to capture footage, and then start posting on TikTok, Shorts, Twitter, and also YouTube. Instagram? Yeah, I think I forgot about Instagram. Yeah. But still, man, I'm so sad that I messed up, that demo had so many bugs. You know, it was much less content and it was buggy, and I was kind of pressured to release it because of the early access, or else I would have to delay the early access for like 3 months, and I just can't afford that. It's not financially possible to afford it. So, well, I guess better that than completely missed opportunity, you know, from Nextfest. And one of the other things that is bothering me, I'd still have to find a good capsule artist, somebody who can draw very well. Okay, let's see what we have here. Okay, Bandit is here. Yeah, it's good to have like a time pressure like this, because then you know that you really have to deliver, or else you don't get the chance to be exposed to the others. Okay, the recipes are gone, and that's okay. No, actually they're here. The order is just being correct. Wooden bow, this one works flawlessly. I like the recipes. I like how they look. But now, what I'm gonna try to add is here, similarly like in the recipes, where we have the stats, I'm gonna try to display a description and just, for example, a heart, like base health, something like that. And I'm not sure even if I would show damage or something. Should I show the damage? Maybe I should. Maybe I shouldn't. Because for damage, I have to look up the inventory and the item that the unit uses. Then the issue is that he can use 2 items. Maybe it's a scratch, maybe it's a bite, and they both deal different amount of damage. Maybe just weapon type, damage type. Yeah, we could do that, probably. We'll look it up. And then I'll have to fill the blanks in here. But how do you like otherwise this? How does it look? Is it good enough? Bestiary, you know. This one is messed up. Giant slime. I'm not sure why the hell this is messing up. But yeah, I also kind of like this position, you know. You have a title, then you have an image with a portrait, a bit of it. You know, this is gonna also go towards the achievements for this team that you unlock. I don't know, 5 first NPC, so on and so forth, and then the recipes, how many you unlock, and the journals. So yeah, For the completionist, I believe this is gonna be good. But now back to the journal model. And the thing that's making me a bit uneasy is that I planned on finishing this journal and stuff last week, but there's just so much going on, so much stuff that you don't predict that everything takes much more time. But after that, this is the plan: journal, a bit more items for energy regen like we talked, and I'm gonna log the dungeons, how you can progress. So for example, you will be forced to go through level 1 dungeon, then level 2, then level 3. By dungeons I mean Didra pits. Because I believe that people find it too difficult because they travel into the wrong freaking dungeon in the beginning, and once you know how you have to go, you would definitely follow the rule, you know. So that's why I'm gonna log the option itself. But okay. Exactly. Now let's see. Journal model. And then here I have, this will also be optimized a bit later, because currently I'm destroying all sorts of stuff that I shouldn't be destroying. But for now, we're gonna be stealing stuff from here. So this is recipes, item info, margin, container. It's a parent of these things here. Well, I believe I could take this whole thing, because we're gonna try to populate with unit item info, his primary weapon, something like that. And this is the enter description in here, and I'm reusing this thing. I'm always reusing it. When I hover on the unit, I show mockshot and I populate this a bit differently. Now I don't have to copy it. This means that I only have to modify it. And by modifying, we're gonna check this one out. Recipes, item info, margin, container. Huh. Here's where the naming issues start to appear when you reuse the same thing for multiple things. Now either I rename it to be more generic, or I duplicate it and I have the separate one for unit info. And I'm gonna use the unit info one. Exactly, that's what I'm gonna do. So, because maybe we're gonna be doing something a bit differently. Maybe. This is gonna need refactoring. I'm fully aware of that. Okay, let me just read what's in the chat. Yeah, I get it what you mean. But it kind of feels frustrating. Because first I wanted to make it blend with the environment, you know. You have more decorations around harder dungeons, you have more scales around the hole. But no, players still didn't figure it out. Then I have head that floats out from the hole. Different color. Maybe it's not different enough. Still not being figured out. So maybe like that, or maybe just keep it open at the harder ones, harder difficulty. We'll see. For now, I really don't want the players to be... Yeah, because, you know, the dialogue, it breaks an immersion a bit. And again, you know, one of the things that I have bug/feature is that if you interact with something, the game doesn't immediately pause because I'm reliant on dialogue for the... Yeah. You know, then I was thinking maybe about the number of the heads, but then it's completely bad if you have 3 heads floating suddenly. Oh. No, first we're gonna see, I'm gonna streamline it first, and then we're gonna try to make it more open. Maybe we could make it more open in the following biomes, not in the forest. Yeah, it's a bit too similar. That's the problem. I believe I have items UI somewhere here. See, I'm using these. This one is green. Then you have a harder one. A little bit of horns, but still not big horns. And the red one. Now, if I could make it more distinct. It's a small icon, I could do something, but... exactly. Once you know, you know. It's even mentioned by Gotar, you know. He tells you, the more decoration around the Didra hole, I mean, the more stuff. Let me find it. Where's the text? Gotar. I tried to put it in text, but nobody reads. No. Yeah. Maybe I have somewhere interactables. Just a second. I think interactables should be up here. And there's an atlas here somewhere. See, these are the ones that I use. Now, if I use red color, that's a bit too much blood, huh? But it would make it super obvious. Don't be a fool to go in here. Yeah, that's one of the problems I currently have. I'm in the 16 by 16. I have to remove them. I mean, I have to space them out a bit. I could do that. And then play with the outlines and so on. I could go with that. Because here's a skull for the difficult one, but this one is too similar, huh? And then the blood. The blood is kind of... You know what I'm trying to do? I'm being a bit lazy. Why I'm not going with the patch of grass is because it wouldn't be universal for the biome, you know. And not specifically with the bushes. Because currently I can put this image in the cavern, in the forest, in the snowy field. I can reuse the same one. We're gonna work on that. Okay. Unit item info margin. Let's go forward. I'm gonna grab it. Journal modal. We're inside. Now I want to see where I grab this thingy item. Here I grab it. Okay. Same thing, I believe. No, not a problem. It helps me think about it. It means that we're solving the problems, and that's very good. It's gonna be easier to solve it once we tackle it. That's the thing that I like. I think it's unit item. Okay. Oh, for fuck's sake, sorry for swearing again. But it really bothers me. Why would I add so many nodes? I'm not gonna do it. See, in this, you can put this to, you can attach this to the zodiac if you believe in this stuff. But it's like being a Libra, in quotations mark, that I have difficulties with decisions like this constantly, and that's what's bothering me. And I'm gonna reuse it because I'm using this stuff for everything. You too? I mean, I try to avoid it. I really try to avoid it. But programming is just like that. Frustrations and stuff, you know, and then the bad words just have the opportunity to come out. Now, before I break stuff, I just want to see if it still works, if the model still works. I'm gonna save it. We're gonna reuse this part, so it's now item info margin container, which makes sense for the recipe and everything else, but it's not limited to the recipes. Everything stays the same. Yeah. When it blows up. Not sure about that one, but yeah. One of the things that they can do definitely, when somebody wants to take the pitches and forks, they just go after your old stuff. What you said, they hold you for your word. And it's pitchforks, tar and feathers. Let's see. Okay, the recipes. I still have a bug if I fixed one of the bugs, which is still in the demo present now. For example, if you held down the button and you press right again, it would start from the position where you started to hold down the button. Now this is fixed, but the similar bug still exists in here, in the list. If I press down, and if I press up again, it's gonna jump too much up. So before we're gonna put the update out, we're gonna fix this. Meanwhile, I'm just gonna check the debug if something is being spat out. It isn't. Let's go all the way to the top. And in the items, let's see if it's correctly populated. It is. Love it. This is still working, but one thing we have to manage less now is I don't need tons of little item info containers. But what we're gonna be doing is Similarly, like here in the recipes, where we have populate recipe, we have all this mumbo jumbo that we populate with the ingredient icons and so on. And we're gonna be stealing this. We're gonna be stealing this. If we're stealing this, I think we can reuse it. We have product icon. I'm not gonna be needing this stuff, because we're not gonna show the item, but what I'm gonna be showing is the ingredients HFlow container. Which one are you? Ingredients HFlow container, where are you? Ingredients HFlow container. Aha, okay, this one is still not being used here. So not you, but captured entry. No, this is still regarding the ingredients, but this item effect info VBox container. And then we're gonna be creating stuff from the parent node. This is where we're attaching it, and this. Aha, I'm already reusing this. So this is the code that we're gonna use. That's good. And entry description is being forced up. Entry title button icon. Okay, I think this is something we're gonna already apply in the populate unit. Now populate bestiary. Bestiary. So I go here. Take a look what's going on here. Okay, I'm creating focus connections. Now I want to see where I'm populating this. Aha. Focus connections are being added at the end. So that's okay. Last focus entry is also being added here. I just want to find the correct spacing. This is the stuff that I also copied. So the stuff that we're adding is gonna be here. This can be nuked. So can be this and this. Focused icon is also being handled somewhere else. Is it? I believe it is. Or we'll see. And this can be removed. So what I'm gonna have to do is item info margin container is not gonna be set to invisible anymore. I'm gonna set it to true. And the product item data is gonna be the item that this enemy uses the most of the time. And by the means, by... Ha! Damn! Zombie. For example, if I take a look at the zombie, normal zombie unit, I know that it has inventory, and in it I have zombie claw and stuff like that. If I go here, inventory resource, zombie claw, and then I have zombie teeth, I have soul drain, I have stuff like that. The most common used tags is zombie claw. So I have it as a first one. Now, do I use the same logic? That the most frequently used item is always as a first one. I'm not so sure. Now this is where it gets tricky. Where it gets tricky. Huh. You know, you mentioned that it would be good if I only show like the damage type it deals. It's a possibility, but it would be still... It would be still cool if some damage numbers would appear, if I make any sense. So you'd know like base stats. See, I have here deal damage, and this is blunt damage. But the scratch is, I believe, slash damage. The damage values are a lot of times random from minimum to maximum, so I have a range. You know, it gives a bit of variety. I think that the Bandit Brute, he is more or less dealing the 10 damage, but everything else has a bit of a variety. But damage is calculated very interestingly, I'd say. For example, for a melee weapon, I take a base melee power and then add it. On that, I add the damage number from the weapon, if it makes sense. So there's a couple of factors. Then I also have the weaknesses, how weak is certain faction type towards certain damage. There's like 3 to 4 axes of how the damage is calculated. Okay. What if I make it visible? Like, for example, if I'd go here and say why the hell not? I mean, this is just item effects info VBox. When I would be, I'm always nuking this, but when I would be populating this, I could add, for example, a label, put it on top and say zombie scratch. Scratch, did I spell it correctly? And then I'd put it down, and from here I'd say zombie bite. And this could be aligned in the middle, center. And this could be aligned in the center. How would that look? Not very well. Don't like the center alignment of it. But spacing, an example. If I'd add some spacing to it. But then I'm losing the benefits of getting all the items spread out. But I have a good method for that. Yeah, I agree. One of those bad things, because I try to know the source from where the damage is coming from. You know, like if I have a scratch, I have a ghoul scratch, which is with the ID of ghoul scratch, and I take the name from here. Then I'd have to change the translation keys in here. And when I would have zombie scratch or something like that, you're not gonna find it, aren't you? Of course, because I didn't put it here. Because I didn't want to name all the items and everything that's being used by the NPCs. And if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna have to. Oh, so much to do. So much stuff being added. Of course. Of course. Dilemma, yeah, but it's a bit of stuff that's being added, right? How would it look if this would be transformed into uppercase? Nope. What about if I'd made it a bit chunkier? Like a font. Nah. Too heavy. It is a bit. I have to admit it. I have to admit it, especially, you know, you add stuff, you remove stuff, you're writing tools where you import something, and something on the import needs a special case. Then you forgot about that special case, you run the tool again. Steak is too juicy. Yeah. Now, in real life or in the game? Yeah. Okay. Zombie scratch. Ideas are helpful. I'm just thinking, what about if on average maybe what I could do is I just join all the damage types, list them out. I don't give a F from where they come, if it comes from a scratch or from anything else. And I take, okay, if I have the melee damage type, and if it's coming from whatever, if it's coming from the bite or scratch, I'd specify the smaller value. So I'd say, okay, bite is dealing less damage. If bite is dealing 5, I'd say, okay, 5. But scratch is dealing maximally more than bite, like 20, I'd say 5 to 20. And that's freaking it. And I don't care about anything else. You know, I just take the averages. Not averages, but the minimum and the maximum. And you have to figure out from what it comes, and that's it. Makes sense? So if... yeah. And that would completely remove the necessity of me having to, you know, maintain the translation text and everything else for the NPCs, because NPCs have a lot of weapons. Lots of weapons. And naming them, oh my god. Don't do that to yourself, Philip. Okay. But. Yeah. Tried my best. Okay, now this is being good here, but now this isn't gonna work because I'm gonna be taking a lot of stuff out. So, item effect info resolver, I create rows. I create whole stuff from here. I'm gonna have a separate function that's gonna be used only here. If this is a resolver, I'm gonna put in populate resolve as a simple struct where I have the rows that I use and so on, but I'm not using this anywhere else. This was a generator again generated by GPT, I believe, earlier. So we have to name it well. Populate, public static, populate unit damage. But then, does it belong to the item effect info resolver? Kind of, but it kind of doesn't. Am I gonna use this anywhere else? Probably not. Should I move you in here rather? I'm gonna move you there, where your source is, before I'm starting to mess with mumbo jumbo static stuff. Let's open your journal here. You're gonna be used here. Down here. Private void create unit damage, or yeah, unit item row, and we're gonna accept in unit data. And once I have this, I'm gonna check it out. If I have unit data, inventory, resource, somewhere in here, how do I store this already? Inventory resource, where are you? Item data resources by slot ID. You know what? This is boilerplate that can be easily delegated to Mr. GPT. No, this is gonna be for each. It's gonna be better for each. We're gonna delegate it. Because I have this here. I do not have I think I have deal damage. I can have a list here. Damage item effects. And this is gonna be a new list with this in here. What I can do is, and this has to be renamed to KVP. Item data resource equals to kvp.value. And if item is instance valid, item data resource equals to false, I continue. We skip you, and then if item data resource, shit, I think I have that only in the item itself, like current level, but then again I don't need the current level here, huh? I have here current level item effects. Yes, that's there. I'm accessing here unit data. So this unit data only has the reference to the inventory. It doesn't have like created inventory where there are instances of the items, but only the database references, I could say. So level effects or something, effects, item.effects resources, equals to null. You know what? This is an array. It's gonna help us figure out the type. Item effects. Items, item effects equals to data resource. Okay. It's getting this array, but this one is from Godot. Okay. So if item effects count is null, or item effects count item effects stupid spelling equals to 0. Continue. And we go a bit forward. Now we have some safety stuff. And what I can do is we're gonna have to have item effect type. Let's have it. Yeah. You know, then as you go further, you start to notice things like that. If, for example, your item can deal multiple damage types, he can, in the beginning, he can deal a slash damage, but then still he can apply the bleeding effect. So, damn it. For each item effects, this is gonna take some resources because we're gonna be using link, but this is UI, the game is paused. Don't need the performance, it's not such a hot path, so I shouldn't worry. Huh, could I have item effects by type? No. I want to get out the damage types. Maybe we're gonna use the tuple. What's the syntax for the tuple? I think we're gonna need damage type. Not damage power type. Deal damage unit stat. And float and float. And this is going to be called min to max by damage type. Well, I could make it even easier. Because this could be stored as vector too. That'd be even easier. And then we can just use the dictionary. And come on, create a new one. Oh, early bird. Early bird. Thank you, man. You're keeping me motivated, so I don't talk to the void anymore. So have a good rest and glad you came by, man. Hope that I'll have some more progress to show you soon. So good morning or good night. Cannot be used like a method. Why? Ah, this one goes here. What am I doing? Of course, this one's gonna be system. Thanks, dude. System, collections. Still doing some mumbo jumbo, huh? It's not system collections. What's the namespace? I completely forgot about it. Wait, I think it's gonna give me a heads up about which thing I'm trying to do here. So dictionary is ambiguous reference between coded collections dictionary and system collections generic. I forgot about generic. So I need you. Okay, now this monstrosity lives here. Oh, why did I let this happen? Okay, now what we have to do is if item effect is deal damage item effect resource, and then we check if min to max by damage type contains key. With and first this one and deal damage item effect damage type isn't null. Important. If it contains key of deal damage item effect damage type, else I start adding it. And I'm gonna delegate this one now. And by the way, I'm gonna end the stream. I've been streaming for 3 hours. Still gonna keep on working it, but still my honey bunny is home. I'm gonna pay some attention to her, talk with her a bit before she goes to work. So thanks again, guys, for coming in. I hope I wasn't too boring and that you like what I'm working on. So bye. Papa.